for discussion. 19, sale of unused and or underutilized district real property. I'm glad that's in there.
Mr. Beatmo would like to lead us
You
through
want to
this
start
discussion.
it? Who you want, Mr. Beatmo? Thank you. You introduce it to us. I know some of them, but I'm anxious to hear what you think.
Yes, ma'am. We have obviously 3 pieces of property. We have the location at Westcott Road. We own a house. We are in the process of getting mediation costs for that. So that property allows us to potentially use for Irmo High School in the new section that you've approved. So thank you so much. So that is one piece of property I think the district should hold on to at this time. Allows us for new construction. We have 2 other pieces of property. 107 Columbia Avenue in Chapin, South Carolina, and that is the old Chapin High School. It's 7.74 acres. And we also have Derrick's Pine Road, which is 47.42 acres. That was purchased in 2010. The Chapin property is a property that we feel we can't build a school on. We have the railroad track. We do not have enough land there to build a school. So that piece of property to us is unusable for a district site at this time. We do have some issues at Derrick's Pond. We do not have sewer there. We do not have enough road frontage. So those are the 3 pieces of property that we have that we probably need to make some decisions on going forward. But our recommendation would be to keep Westcott Road just for the future Irmo High School potential.
Mr. Douglas.
And we discussed at the Facilities Committee meeting also the old Palmetto Woodworks property that's adjacent to the present Chapin High School that the administration plans to do some renovations of that to use it as a maintenance facility in the interim until we can come up with a permanent solution. But we already own that property, and we've been using it, I think, as surplus salvage depot until we could get rid of things properly through the process, right? But we're gonna clean that up and use it for our maintenance.
For a short-term maintenance facility for our folks to work and be able to conduct work that we don't really have now. So that will help us to do that. Yes, sir.
So basically, the 2 pieces of property that we discussed, one of them was the old Chapin High School property, and as I understand it, reading the district procurement code, the superintendent has to bring us a recommendation, or the administration bring us a recommendation for that property needs to be disposed of, and then we have to go by the procedure in there to dispose of it, and then we're going to investigate the Derrick Pond property, and I think you wanted to go make one last stab at seeing if we could get some kind of variance from the county zoning administration.
Yes, sir. I had a conversation with the Department of Education because we have to go through OSF first, and they have a new person. We spoke Friday night, actually. And we have the information, but I needed that before I moved forward. So I have what I need from the State Department to move forward now. So I'll start on that tomorrow.
So in other words, we're going to investigate and we're going to see what the alternatives are before you were in your present role and before many of the people were on the board here, we had a presentation a couple of years ago from the then attorney for the district that explained to us that we had been foreclosed from making zoning variance requests because of a statute of limitations. And therefore you're going to investigate whether that foreclosure was exactly, was truthful or not, and so then we can make a determination. Would it take you probably 2 meetings from now to put that back on the?
I would hope so, if not sooner, but after I got the information from OSF on Friday night, I feel that we can move forward now. So at a worst case in 2 meetings, but hopefully sooner.
Okay. Well,
Yes,
thank you,
sir.
sir. Thank you.
Okay, you go next. I have a question. I'll wait.
Yes, I know when we were in our facilities meeting, and we were talking about the old Chapin High School, which is near Chapin Town Hall and the library, that it was realized, I guess, that there's a like where the sheriff's department is, that's owned by Lexington County, not the town of Chapin. Is it Lexington County? So when I pull up the map, like, it looks like the line goes like right through a building. So has there been any conversation about that and how that happened and how that worked and how it makes it where we can get rid of all of it at once if that's what we decide to do?
Yes, ma'am. I reached out to Sheriff Kuhn, actually, just to let him know that we were discussing this property. And according to Sheriff Kuhn, Chapin actually owns that property, and they lease it. Lexington County Sheriff's Department leases it from the town of Chapin. So
Okay,
they actually own that.
So the town of Chapin owns it. So when I pulled it up on GIS, it said town of Chapin, and so I didn't know if it was town of Chapin or Lexington, so that makes it clear. Okay.
Ms. Huddle.
A question and a request. The question is, the building, the old Chapin High School building, is still there, correct? It's just unusable.
Yes, ma'am, it is unusable.
And just a request is, when we take this up again, I think it would be helpful to have a list of all of the property that is not currently used by school, including the property that is leased, and what we paid for that property, what its taxed assessed value is, and if we've had a real value assessment done on it, what that assessed value was and the date that it was done, just to give us an idea. I mean, I know the tax assessed value is not really the commercial value, but just to give us some idea of everything we have, like an inventory, and as much information as we have about it.
That's good. I like that. Mr. Lovelace.
Dr. Ross, I'd like to ask that when you bring to us the surplus property request to dispose of the old Chapin High School property, that you go ahead and get an appraisal, and that we get a demolition price to tear down those old buildings, because we have discussed this prior to this several times, that we know that there's some impediments to using those buildings because of some things in there that need to be disposed of properly. And I think that would basically reduce the amount of risk that the district faces, and we would therefore be able to sell the property at a higher value if we were to have a demolition price when we entertain those two.
Good thoughts. You may have said this, but what about the property? I know there where Irmo Elementary is, we use that building we bought. That houses what offices of the district office are there?
We have special needs in there. We have our school nurses, some accountability, Dr. Harris, and we have some Miss and the magnet office are using that. It's about between 4,000 and 5,000 square feet.
Well, I can't remember if when we bought that, what about the property that, I think if you're going down, is it Fork Drive that goes down to that other entrance into Irmo Elementary? And there was it had a retaining pond.
It's a retaining pond.
Yeah, and I voted against buying it.
It's on Fork Avenue right before you turn in, and it's got a fence around it, and it's just a hole.
Yeah. I know 2 board members that didn't vote for that property.
I
want to know if we use it, and that's definitely one I'd like you to look at.
Yeah, it's,
Yeah, I don't know why we bought
the
it.
best way to describe it is if you turn off of St. Andrews Road onto Fork Avenue,
Yeah.
right before that first driveway into Irmo Elementary and behind an office building is literally a hole.
Really, it's a hole.
And
She's right.
I doubt that anybody's going to buy it, and I don't think it's usable because I think it's the drainage from the office building in front of it and beside it.
But I would like an update on that.
Yes, ma'am.
Because if I'm wrong and we're using it for something, but I questioned it when we bought it,
Yes, ma'am. We'll bring an update to that.
but I lost. Thank you, though. We've really wanted to do this. Thank you, Dr. Ross, for bringing this to us. This is awesome. We may find some good uses for it, or we sell it and we make money for the students of District 5. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Beaver.
Mr. Hogan, I know what you're going to do, but go ahead.
Chairwoman Hammond, I'd like to make a motion to adjourn.
Do you have a question, though, over Mr. Hogan's motion?
I would like to second Mr. Hogan's motion.
I thought you had something serious, but that is serious. Have any vote for adjournment? That is 6-0. We thank all of you in the audience and our staff. Thank you so much that you put up with our late evenings, but we got a lot accomplished. Thank you. Let me hit this. Adjourned.